Hi, dear listener. Welcome to the Young Changemakers podcast, an initiative from Global Changemakers. Your co-hosts, Sophie, George, and William are very happy to have you join us today. Over this first season, we'll show you the incredible impact of youth and hopefully inspire you to take action too. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you're ready, let's go! ¿Qué onda? How's it going, guys? William here, your co-host from Guatemala. Thank you guys so much for joining us today on the 6th episode of the Young Changemakers podcast. Guys, it's incredible how time flies, right? It feels like yesterday when we were still planning the focus of this podcast. Actually, it wasn't that long ago. But anyways, today we are releasing the 6th episode with more than 700 reproductions in more than 70 countries. That's awesome, and that's thanks to you guys. Thank you for your support. Wherever you're listening to us, feel very welcome to this episode. And speaking of how fast time is going, we are already in mid-December. 2019 is almost gone, you guys. That means this is my last episode of the year. I wanted to take some time to tell you that I really hope 2019 was a big year for you in terms of experiences, self-growth, and accomplishing or moving closer to your big goals. So in terms of experiences, I mean both the good and the challenging ones. Life's a roller coaster, you guys. You already know that. Ups and downs, ups and downs. Sometimes we feel at the top and sometimes we don't. Just know that when you're at the top, make sure to make the most out of it. Feel thankful and appreciate those little moments in life. And when you're not at the top, feel calm to know that these times won't last forever and that life is like that, just like that. In terms of learning and self-growth, I want you to remember the person you were at the beginning of 2019, how you were, what your thoughts were, and especially when it came to analyze the situations in your life. Some people say you don't really grow that much in a year. Other people say you can be a completely different person at the end of the year. What I would say is that it depends totally on you, how much you want to grow. Because I feel that 365 days are enough to at least grow a bit. Don't you think so? So now I want you to think how much you have grown throughout this year and how much you have decided not to grow this year as well. So I just wanted to mention this because I feel it's very necessary to just to stop for a moment and think about ourselves also. So I hope 2020 will be a great year for you. So keep it up, guys. Keep learning, keep growing, keep striving, and keep living, the most important thing. And work to be the best version of yourself every single day. So, let's jump to the introduction. Today I'm interviewing a guy from the Kingdom of Bhutan. And before I introduce this guy, I want to mention something that really caught my attention while reading about his country. It has to do with the philosophy that guides the government of Bhutan. Its acronyms are GNH, which stands for Gross National Happiness. Cool, right? Not gross national product, but gross national happiness. So this is an index which Bhutan has used since 2008, and this helps them to measure the collective happiness and well-being of a population. Hopefully we'll have some time in the interview to get a perspective from a Bhutanese on this topic. I think this should be applied in all the countries. Yeah, that would be very cool. So, the guy I'm interviewing today is called Nidup Dorji. He's a 21-year-old guy selected as a Global Changemaker 2019 because of his commitment on solving issues in his community, especially among young people. His journey on volunteering has been about community engagement and encouraging people to join the world of volunteering. He's also a member of Young Volunteers in Action, which is Bhutan's leading youth non-governmental organization. They are currently working to ensure that all youth have equal access to education, meaningful employment, and opportunities. He has been member of the Young Bhutan Network as well, which is funded by UNICEF. They try to bring young people from different backgrounds for social causes and also carry out community projects on a massive scale. So, guys, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a very interesting conversation with Nidup. Please keep tuned in. But before jumping to the interview, guys, I bring very exciting news. Look, I know I love to bring different topics into the conversation just before I move forward to the interview, but this is really worth mentioning. The Global Changemakers team is launching a brand new resource called Facilitation Tools for Changemakers. This tool provides you with over 30 icebreakers, energizers, and team building exercises with video demonstrations. That's awesome, you guys, especially if you're about to work with large groups. Very useful resources. It has also tips and best practices on facilitation and working with groups. And something that is really cool is that it is mobile friendly on both iOS and Android. And the most exciting thing, you guys, is that YCM podcast listeners get a 20% discount using the following code. Drums, please. The code is YCM Listener. YCM Listener. No spaces, all together in uppercase. Alright guys, so the link to the facilitation tools is on the show notes. Make sure to check it out. Alright, Nidup, welcome to the YCM podcast. How are you today?
Thank you, William. I'm doing great. So today is quite chilly in Bhutan and we are having a cold weather. So I'm feeling cold, but I'm feeling excited.
Okay, Nidup, while I was making up all the questions for this interview, I was reading your bio on the GCM website, and I read that you like to include this kind of holistic mindset while you are volunteering in order to create a very impactful engagement among youth people. So could
I
you
see,
please
yes.
explain a bit to us what is it really a holistic mindset and how can we like apply it?
Thank you, William. And I want to thank Global Changemakers for again contacting me. And I'm really happy to be in touch with you guys. So now to go on with the answer. Holistic mindset in the sense that having a sense of understanding that each and every one of us, whether we do volunteerism or everything, we have to understand the other person who will receive our work will be a human being. The person poses challenge to us is also a human being. So they also want happiness. They don't want suffering. They're doing some good. We're doing some good. So there is always a chance to connect. So I believe in the holistic mindset means accepting everyone, whatever our differences are, because we are basically at the end of the day human beings. So that's what I try to make. But I think everybody is open for interpretation.
Yeah, that's a very cool explanation. I mean, like not losing the chance to really connect with someone you are helping, but also, like try to work on your social skills while being with all these
Yeah.
people. And yeah, that's really cool. Actually, this is the first time I get to hear something like the holistic mindset. I,
I see. I see.
I think I'm gonna start applying it on my life from now on.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
What I think.
Okay, Nidup. So I was wondering if you have any kind of favorite quote you would like to share with us, and especially if you have felt like throughout your journey, if that has helped you to improve in, in any way.
Thank you, William, for the question. I believe a quote, there are many quotes, but one of my particular favorite is, it goes like this. If a problem can be solved, what is the use of worrying? If the problem cannot be solved, what is the need for worrying? So it comes from Nalanda, the text where I read it, and it has stayed with me ever since because the quote really inspires me when we are down. When we are up, when we are happy, it's like no problem. Whatever happens, we are very happy, so we
Yeah,
can
yeah.
deal with it. But when we are down, we need some kind of what you can say, some kind of a knock you can say on our head that it's not the end, there's something more. So it especially applies to when you are volunteering or doing community service work, because that is something which you do selflessly, not for any gain. And that we must be particularly careful that we do not lose our courage, our confidence. So I use this quote time to time. Yes, I think that's all.
I see, right? Like not worrying about what you cannot control, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But
Many
instead
things. Yeah.
really trying to notice what you can learn about every situation that's actually happening in your life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. That's
really
it.
nice, Nidup.
Yes.
Okay, so
Okay.
moving forward to another question. I read on your bio on the GCM website also that you've been involved in volunteering for the last 3 years. Could you please mention to us the groups in which you've been involved throughout this journey so that our listeners get to know you better in this aspect of your life, the volunteering aspect?
Thank you for your question, William. So to start with, the first group I ever volunteered was so in Bhutan. As you can see, we have free education till the 12th standard, and many skills we learn it from our schools through our teachers. So I started volunteering when I was in class 10 in like school activities to organize ceremonies, activities, sports days, and all that. But officially I became a volunteer with like a certain youth network in past 3 years ago, by joining Young Volunteers in Action. That was the first youth group network I joined, and I have been a member ever since. So Young Volunteers in Action is a youth network under Youth Development Fund. It is an NGO in Bhutan, and it is the president is Her Majesty Ajit Tringbem, who is the president of the organization. And another youth member from a group I have been part of is Young Bhutan Network. So that is basically a platform where it tries to connect all the youth networks in Bhutan. So I've also been a member of that till date.
Cool. And how often do you have to assist to these youth networks, youth groups? Do you have to go very often, or you decide when you would like to, invest a bit of your time on them,
Uh,
or how does it work?
Thank you. So there are like two ways which we can get engaged. Firstly, there will be youth activities funded by our NGO, the parent organization. So during that time, we go and help. We volunteer as a YVIA. And the second is when we bring up our own programs, they support us, and then we can plan out when it is feasible with the support of our parent organization and other agencies. So these are the two times where you can volunteer.
I see.
And personal volunteerism can happen like every day. So that
Yeah,
is different.
like every day. Okay, so now that we were talking about youth-led organizations, I have a question. What difference do you think it really causes on people that a platform is youth-led, an organization like the Young Bhutan Network? Do you notice like more empathy or understanding among the people you guys are supporting?
Thank you for a question again, William. So now back to firstly a wider approach. So our country, like you mentioned earlier, we have a developmental philosophy called gross national happiness. So that takes into account not the material aspect, just the material aspect, but the uh, emotional well-being, or we can say mental well-being of every individual. So in that sense, our country, especially the government and donor agencies like UNICEF, YTF, they have been really pushing for youth-led organizations to be led by the youth. So the difference it makes is that the people in the society, their perception changes for the youth. Since we have a hierarchical society, so we respect our elders, and the elders have to, like in turn, take care of us, but we have to respect them. So when the youth-led organizations are led by the youths themselves, they gain a sense of new trust towards those youth. They feel, wow, the youths can do it themselves. They are capable. Otherwise, instead of a burden to the society, in a sense, however, they feel that youths are capable, they are doing it, and the support, when it is youth-led, the support is, we can say, a little bit more, because they appreciate the youths coming up instead of another working person doing it. So youth-led has the benefit of having firstly support from our community, and secondly, wider support from the agencies, various donor agencies in the country. I believe youth-led groups should are effective in the wherever they are prevalent. So I feel that.
Nice. So I see that not only the government is encouraging you guys to belong to networks, and especially if those are also encouraging you to be youth led. So
Yes.
probably in other places people struggle because there is not much trust in youth, but I see that it probably this is not the case in Bhutan, right? People are
Uh,
really aware that youth
yes.
can do great things.
No, there. I believe, from my point of view, I think there is like some sort of like lack of trust. I believe every parent, because when someone becomes a parent, they feel they have to take care of their child. In the sense, the entire community becomes oriented that the youth are yet not capable to do these things. So even in Bhutan, yes, youth are active, youth are good, but elders still consider youth's voices still little bit in the sense without inexperienced. So youth-led organizations are trying to change that perception that youth voices matter, where even if they have less experience than the elders in the community. Elders in the sense community members. So
Yeah, yeah.
yes, that is one of the things.
You know, a bit earlier you mentioned this gross national happiness, which I would like
Yes.
if you could talk a bit about it, because as a
Uh,
Bhutanese guy, you can give us your perspective on that um, indicator the country has, because I read on the website that Bhutan is actually a pioneer in that
uh,
indicator. So, but let's also relate it to, you know, how the youth is happy with what they do. So how would you say it impacts the youth and this gross national happiness?
okay. Thank you, William. So now being a Bhutanese, if I do not talk about gross national happiness, it would be unjustifiable for a time. So speaking on it, gross national happiness originated from His Majesty the Fourth Trukelpo. We have five kings present. So Fourth Trukelpo was our previous king. So it originated from him in the sense that when a reporter asked him, His Majesty, so what is your country's gross national product? So His Majesty replied back, we do not measure our developmental progress through gross national product, but gross national happiness. So since then, the gross national happiness it has been developed in a many sense. To bring it short, we have four pillars, which are good governance, preservation of culture, promotion of tradition. Thirdly, equitable socio-economic development. And fourthly, we have preservation of our environment. So to achieve GNH, the government bases their policies on these four pillars. And how it has affected the youth, you can say that since the leadership has accepted this philosophy through our benevolent kings, Bhutanese students are provided free education till 12th standard. And furthermore, if they are capable, and then furthermore, they are also provided free education. And youth-centered policies have been prevalent in the government. And one key aspect which differentiates GNH from like traditional GDP growth-oriented system is that GNH does not solely focus on the material development, like how many goods or services the country has produced more this year. It, it has to take into account that the people should be happy with those development. So it takes into care the mental, social, psychological well-being of citizens. Though it is a very difficult thing to quantify and measure, there is a gross national happiness commission in our country which looks after that. So that is in the government level. So in our level, where we are just volunteers, we feel that it benefits us because government agencies are encouraged to support youth activities in our country. If it's youth, they are encouraged to support it and guide us. So that is, I can say in brief.
Awesome. Nice explanation. Thank you. So we can get like
Thank
more
you.
like an overview about this thing that's not applied in any other country. Well, at least I haven't heard that any other country is
Yes.
applying this, or have you heard that it is applied in other country?
Yes, I believe Bhutan is the only one, but I heard Dubai has a Ministry of Happiness they have started, so
Oh.
that is good. but I do
Okay.
not consider GDP as bad because it is also very good.
So I
So
hope
yes,
they implement that in Guatemala someday.
Hi there, we hope you're enjoying this episode so far. We just wanted to let you know that we are on social media at WeAreGCM, and don't hesitate to follow us. And if you'd like to support us further, we also have a Patreon page. Type in Global Changemakers and decide which tier is best for you. Thank you, and now on with the rest of the episode.
wonderful.
Yeah. So that's really cool. Thanks for the explanation
Thank you.
again. And now we're gonna move forward to another topic about
Yes,
these
sir.
Young Volunteers in Action, this organization that you mentioned. I read on the
Yes.
website that they try to ensure that youth gains better opportunities by the work they do. So could you explain us a bit more about how have you seen that they actually ensure that the youth gets those benefits?
Okay, thank you, William. So our country, since it started modernization in the late 1990, by 1970s, and by 1990s, we had internet and television coming in. So since then, there's been a rapid, yes, okay.
Sorry.
Since then, there's been a rapid, modernization. Therefore, their social, like modern problems have come together, unemployment and youth-related crimes have come in. So what it tries to do is it tries to target students who are in school. They try to, and then they encourage them to be a part of this network. Once they are part of the network, they volunteer, they become an active member of the community where they feel extremely encouraged, where they feel they are involved, and where they feel they have to be responsible for their actions. So YVIA tries to inculcate in them a sense of responsibility from their school going age. And once they graduate, YDF supports YVIAs with certificates. So this certifies and helps them to achieve, when they try to get a job, these certificates provide them as a backing. Furthermore, apart from YVIA, YDF has My Kakit Village program, which tries to focus on the rural people who are in rural areas to make their products known in the market, to let them earn a living. And skill building programs are also provided by our NGO called YTF. YVIA tries to support these activities by providing volunteer service and through taking active part in the programs.
Cool. So would you say that they target more teenagers rather than adults or kids?
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
So it has been targeted towards children and youth in our Bhutan.
Okay, cool. So I'll make sure I attach the links to the websites of these organizations
Thank
that
you.
we are mentioning. Yeah.
Okay.
And now bringing a question that's more like philosophic and all of that stuff. What has been
Wonderful.
a big challenge you've faced? And if you could give us an advice on how to overcome it, it can be a challenge as a volunteer or a challenge you had in your personal life or while working, anything that you want to share to us.
Thank you for the question, William. Challenges. So I've noticed one thing about challenges, they change from every year. There's a trend
Yeah.
of these challenges becoming new challenges. One key challenge which can affect a volunteer is, for example, a Bhutanese person being a volunteer, and many others can relate, especially when they're in school, when they try to volunteer, is trying to balance the academic workload, academic responsibilities with volunteer activities, firstly. Secondly, trying to convince or communicate with their families of what they are doing. Sometimes if a person does not volunteers, without the family support, it can truly affect them in the sense that they will not have a good sense of, they will not have a good idea about volunteering. So I believe the main challenge is trying to balance academic work with our volunteer activities, academic or our, what you can say, social work-related responsibilities. And secondly would be to ensure that whatever we do, we try to communicate with our community or our family of what we are doing and make sure the objectives are clear. If there is to ensure there is no communication gap. So yeah, second can be a communication gap which I can say is a challenge.
Yeah. So would you say, like, in conclusion, like a challenge would be to really equilibrate all these likes you have in life and also your responsibilities to know really how to distribute your time wisely? That would be like the challenge here, so to speak.
Yes, thank you, William. That is truly what you said. But to put a little bit to it, it can be in the sense that when we volunteer, we must, like you said, have a good time management. So it is essential to ensure that both things, our life, all the important aspects of our life, are not all taken care of in our time management.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. I'm pretty sure there's people out there who feel very related to all these things that are not so different, and I mean that most of us get to experience throughout our life.
Yes.
So, how long ago was it when you went to Sri Lanka?
So I had gone on September 1st. So
Last September, right?
September,
Yeah, it was not
this
long
year's
ago.
September. Yes.
Cool. Yeah, I remember seeing some pictures of your
Oh
trip.
yes, thank you for liking.
Yeah, it
them.
looked really, really nice. A very nice place. Yeah.
It's very
So
beautiful country.
I remember you told me that you went to participate in South Asia's Parliamentarian for Children
Yes,
Summit, which
yes,
centered its topic on advancing child rights in the region,
yes,
while engaging youth. So
yes.
tell us more about what it was exactly about, the summit.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, William. So the summit which I attended, had the honor to attend, it marked the 30 years since Child Rights Convention was signed. So in 1989, Child Rights Convention was adopted, and since then, the rights of child throughout our world has really advanced. So this forum, or this platform, called together all the parliamentarians from 7 countries, so namely Afghanistan, Nepal, India, Bhutan, then we have Bangladesh and Maldives, and then Sri Lanka. So these 7 countries, 3 parliamentarians from these countries and youth delegates attended this forum. I attended as a youth delegate. One thing which happened was the signing of Colombo Declaration. So during that time, these 7 countries parliamentarians pledged that now they will bring youth voices when they make decisions, and they will further try to promote child rights in the region. The youths during the summit adopted a youth pledge where we pledged that the voices of youth shall not be unheard no more, that we will put double our efforts to make our voices heard and to ensure that the rights of the children are upheld. So these are some of the things that developed from that summit.
Very nice. And how many people from Bhutan actually went to that summit?
Thank you. So we had four-member delegation.
Yeah, I see. That's not like a very large group, right? It's
yes,
a small one. Cool. But it's really cool that young people from the neighboring countries gather in a summit to discuss issues and topics that are very important among their population. It's really nice.
Yes.
So also this summit has had to do something with cyber safety, or not at all?
It encompassed within it, but at large it was about child rights.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, so now that we are talking about child rights, what do you think are the first steps to take to stop this global issue? Like, not so much at the governmental level, but rather at the community level, among the groups where you volunteer?
Thank you, William. So at the community level, I would suggest that to address the issue of lack of child rights in our community, first thing would be to just go and talk to the parents, or we can say the elders. It is very important to give them awareness that child rights is not taking rights from them and giving to the child, but just ensuring that the child has a very wholesome development in their life. Child rights includes the child not getting abused, not getting physically, mentally abused, not getting exploited, and all of these. Parents, if they are aware that what some of the actions which they do are indirectly abusing the child or trying or mentally affecting them their growth, they will not do it. So first thing was to, at the community level, we should engage the parents. Then, and as I learned, UNICEF graciously funds many child protection workshops in our country. So YVA gets a privilege to bring the youths of different communities to attend this workshop. In it, facilitators explain to the children that their rights are so and so, which are stipulated in the Child Rights Convention and the national legislation which are in force in our country. So this gives the child all the necessary legal backing which they need, and then it also teaches them where they have to go in case if their rights are violated. So it gives the child the necessary tools during those workshops. So I believe conducting such workshops to inform the child about their rights and to inform their parents who do not have like some luxury to spend time reading about child rights and all, to just explain to them these are some of the rights and these will help them, their child become good. So I believe that is what a person can do. But again,
I see.
yeah.
And for how long have these workshops been carried out?
Thank you. So since I became volunteer 3 years ago, it has been carried out annually, but in other parts of our country, it has been carried. It gets carried out with the support of UNICEF and the Minister of Education.
Like more often, or also once a year?
So it gets, I believe, every year for a new batch of children. Once a new batch gets.
So talking about children, you mean range from 5 to 11 years old?
5. We can say no. It would be about from 8 to 15. People
okay.
who are children who are about to become adolescents. So
Okay. Okay.
At the
Cool.
children level, who are like primary level, we try to promote pre-primary education for them because it is a place where they can develop their brains properly before they enter the education system. Pre-primary education is one of the essential parts which we try to do.
It's really cool that there are initiatives that are actually having this commitment of, you know, working on the child and all their development while they're growing up.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really, really cool to hear about. So,
Yes.
so it has been 3 years now that you've been
Yes.
volunteering, like, right?
Yes.
So, you know, what are some of the plans you and your youth-led groups are proposing in the future to achieve your aim of addressing community issues in Thimphu, which is the capital of Bhutan?
Thank you for your question, William. So now some of the plans which our youth group are trying is we are planning to have a youth awareness program on cyber issues. So how to be safe online, how to use the internet productively, and what to do if you feel that you are getting bullied online.
Awesome.
So we are trying to create an awareness, and we are focusing on events where the youths gather together. There are some events which are coming up. So in Bhutan right now, it's December, so it's winter vacation, so there are no schools. In lieu, many youth-led organizations, youth NGOs and organizations are hosting winter coaching class, or winter programs for youths who are right now have nothing to do. So there are many youths gather, so we are trying to focus on them, to target them, and to have at least an hour or two session to talk on and present about youth issues. Furthermore, we would like to learn from them what the government can do to make them feel safe online. Is there a need of more legislation? Is there a need of more youth-friendly approaches or agencies to address this issue? So we will try to get some feedback from it. This is one thing. And second thing, we are planning to volunteer at a Wilding in Vacation. It's a winter program, which is conducted annually by Youth Development Fund. So it will be start from 30th November, December, tentatively. These are two programs in the long term.
I see. Oh, nice initiatives. So how do you choose the people that's gonna assist to this first workshop that you just mentioned?
Thank you.
I mean, is there gonna be people who is going to apply in a way to these kind of workshops, or are you going to invite people to assist to your workshops?
So thank you so much for the question, Will. So as I talked about Young Bhutan Network before, that it tries to bring all the youth networks together, we are collaborating with another youth network called Young Harmony Volunteers, um, Young Youth Harmony Youth Volunteers. So with them, we try to collaborate, and it will be a youth-led awareness campaign. And the materials and the content of these awareness programs will be supported by Department of Youth and Sports and UNICEF Bhutan. So we'll seek technical help from them regarding the contents, regarding how appropriately we can tell them, and then we can roll it out.
So you
So
really
these
have
are
a
two.
nice support over there, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
as of now, yes, we have.
Cool. Well, keep those relations very tight so that you can
Thank you.
keep carrying out these initiatives, and hopefully they will all work out well. Congrats,
Thank
man.
you.
So from now, what path would you like your volunteering journey to take in the next few years? Would you like to get more involved in all these topics that you were talking about just earlier, or probably incline more to this cyber safety issue that's going around, or I don't know, you tell me.
Thank you, William. So some of the path you can say would be to focus more on cyber issue for the next year, tentatively. And then from further on, I believe the volunteering path should not end with just an end of a program. So we will continue to engage the youth who are part of our network to ensure that they are not left behind. I plan to try my best to be a part of them, to engage with them, youth, and to know what their feelings and issues are, and how we can how to spread volunteerism even more. So in that sense, the youth, my path for volunteerism in the next 2 years would be focused on these two lines.
I see. Always applying this holistic mindset, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes,
Cool.
thank you.
Okay, so thanks a lot for all these well-explained questions. I think our listeners could really notice that you have a very cool journey on volunteering, and also you have plans for the future. So yeah, again, hopefully they will all work out well. And so
Thank
now
you.
for the last question of this interview, I would like to ask you for an advice you could give to our listeners out there. If there's anyone out there who really doesn't know where to start their journey in volunteering, or let's say if someone feels like they would like to help in any way to their community, but they don't really know how to, what piece of advice would you give to them?
Okay, thank you for the question, William. So to go with it, yes, I also personally felt this dilemma when I was in school. So I always wanted to volunteer, but I always thought, where should I volunteer? Will anyone support me? How should I do it? Is it even so many questions? So the first thing that it could motivate any person would be that we must, what you can say, that I was personally influenced by my friends. So my friends joined a volunteer group, which is YBIA. So I also joined together with them. And since then on, there was no looking back. And anyone listening out there would be that whatever passion you have, you just focus on what makes you feel passionate about, what gives you confidence, and what really makes you feel that there's something to be done. And after that, you can try to talk with your friends, see if they're interested. And if you find that you will find someone in your society or anywhere that there will be a person who would be really interested for whatever cause, you do it together. And the most important quote you can take with you is, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So you must take that first step.
Awesome quote.
Reach your destination.
Awesome quote.
Thank you.
All right,
you.
Nidup, thank you so much for this interview full of new knowledge. philosophy and experiences. It was really nice. I hope our listeners out there will take away a lot of positive things from this interview. Hopefully, they will share this
Thank
with
you.
their friends and spread the word of Young Changemakers. All right, so
Thank you so much, William.
Sure,
for
sure.
Your wonderful host. Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. If you want to add anything else, feel free to do it.
Yes, I can add one small bit. That is that since I attended the Global Youth Summit in 2019 and became a global change maker, it has redoubled my efforts in my community, and it has the training and the experience I got from that was truly life-changing, and it has been with me ever since, and I think it will be with me throughout my life. So I urge everyone to support global change makers throughout the world and also be a global change maker. Thank you. Tashtele.
If you'd like to know more about Global Changemakers and our mission of enabling youth to create a positive impact in their communities, you can visit our website at global-changemakers.net or follow us on social media at WeAreGCM. And if you'd like to support us further, go check out our Patreon page at Global Changemakers and help us have a greater impact. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Young Changemakers. See you next Tuesday.